welcome back to my channel. I'm excited to show you my homestead garden tour today. As you see, I love sunflowers. Last year our tallest one got 17 feet tall, and it makes a nice privacy. So let's come on and show you the rest of the property here. These sunflowers, they're all volunteers. I let the cardinals eat them last fall and through the winter, and they put all the droppings down, the seeds, and there we go. So this is my front of my house, and I love sunflowers. This is a view of my backyard, the start of it, of my homestead where my garden is and everything. This here is where my father lives, and we took a barn and we made a little mini home out of it with a kitchen and a little mini home. Okay, over here is the back. There's my garden where it starts. Then I got my greenhouse, and of course the pool for the grandkids, right? My dad, he's almost 91 here, and he grows his own flowers. He loves flowers. So he's pretty creative too. Like right here, he took a stick, put it in the ground, and he's letting morning glories grow up around the stick. We got Grandpa's home, and this lights up at night. These are tomatoes. These are my dad's here, sandwich tomatoes. Now in the garden here, I have cattle panel around. So all the stuff that the rabbits would eat and get into are all in the inside. So nobody can hurt anything on the outside. Here I have a bed of white onions. Here are my California wonders. And if you notice down here, there's like very little weeds. I load this down with grass clippings about this thick, and it helps keep the moisture in. So these are my banana peppers here. We have a tomato plant, of course my zinnias, and then I have my Hungarian peppers here. Some more Hungarian peppers. The reason why I plant Hungarian peppers, I make mustard and I use it out of Hungarian peppers, which I'll have a recipe in a future video. Now here I have more of the California wonders. And then I have another row of onions. I plant at 3 different times with the onions. That way they don't all come in at the same time and I can use them. I do have some cherry tomato plants here. I have 3 of them along this panel. And the reason why I have them, I can pick them, and then over here in the chicken yard, the chickens can eat them. So these here will be Roman tomatoes. Now this is my cherry tomato here. Okay, and then my Roman tomatoes, what I use also to make my pastas with, and sauces in that. Now if you notice up here on the fence here, okay, I plant my lima beans along the fence line. So that way these things can, my mind went blank what they were, but anyways, they can carve off the panel of the fence here for my lima beans, which are on the inside of the fence. Here in this pot, and that pot there is my parsley. I've already harvested some, so I got to harvest more. Here is my basil, which I've got to get harvested because I see it's going to start molding here. And this pot here and here is my thyme. Back there, them 2 pots back there is my oregano. And this sage, look how beautiful this sage is. Back there is rosemary. In order to keep the pest off of them, I have a mixture of neem oil that I use and tea tree oil, and I mix it all together with a little bit of Dawn soap, and once a week I do spray, and that helps keep all the bugs away. I see we have our helper again. She always comes with me. See, this is Cow, huh? Say Callie. I have peppermint and spearmint. These here are my Amish paste. So I use a variety of Amish paste and Romas for all my spaghetti sauces and ketchup and salsas and diced tomatoes. And again, I always plant these up against the cattle panel, because if you notice here, I still put supports. And by the way, when you do supports, and you can do, a lot of people are like, well, the strings slide down. Take a staple gun, tie it here, staple that on there, and that way your strings won't drop down. And I put them up against the cattle panel so it helps support them. All right, Grandpa needs help. Okay, ready? This garden bed here, there's nothing planted in it now. I like to plant my carrots. Actually, I'll be doing that this week. That way I have carrots in the fall. I have much better at growing carrots doing it in the fall where it's not so hot. And then that way I can harvest them in October. Okay, right here is all my onions, my candy onions. And as you can see, they're starting to fall over, so some of them are ready to harvest. I have over 200 onions planted here. Now the reason for the loops here, I will, later on, I will plant like some spinach or some other things, and I'll use it as a shade barrier, so for the direct sun. And then one over here on the carrots one, when I go to do my carrots, I will put a sheet part way, so that way when it rains, it doesn't knock the carrots out of the ground. And I have a great technique on way on how I plant my germinate my carrots. These are my zucchini plants. I'll have them planted everywhere. I got grass barriers, you know, for thick grass to keep the grass or the weeds out. Now this side here, these 4 plants are lemon tomatoes. They're starting to flower to come on now. Okay, I planted 2 different types of cantaloupe plants, and I got them mounded up. I will take these vines and I will try to direct them to all grow out this way. If you notice, I have chicken manure and straw down here, so that will make, when I put it around the plant, so that will, when it rains or you water your plant, it slowly releases nutrients down into the ground. And with all of this around, it holds the moisture in the ground, so I don't have to water. Here I have straight 8 cucumbers for salad eating or whatever you want. And I train them to grow up the trellis here, of the fence. And here I found, here's my first cucumber. And it's hard to believe that yesterday morning it was this size. And look how it is today. Okay, on my leaves, now, you know, cucumbers, they get that powdery mildew. That stuff's hard, that and the zucchini. That's hard to control, but it can be controlled. But as far as the bugs go on it, I spray my stuff with neem oil and tea tree oil. And that helps keeps any of the aphids off and everything. So I'm just keep training these to look at all the bees. Got our pollinators in there. Now, as you see, over here, and just keep wrapping this around every day, every morning I come out. And so this whole thing will be a mass amount of cucumbers. Over here is my watermelon plants. Keep a cover over. Now, my dad came up with a great idea because I can take the wheelbarrow and bring it up and just dump it. So we're able to take these slots out, each one of these, as the compost gets higher. So it's easier to put the stuff in the compost bin here. And as you see, I use skids here for sidewalls to keep it aerated so the air can go through. When harvest comes, I do take this utility tub here. I have a water hose that's hooked up to the back of it and a drain that drains out. And then I have a long conference table that I put here. So when I harvest my stuff, if it needs washed before it goes in the house, that way you don't get all them bugs in your house. And I just clean everything, chop everything here, and get ready and take it in the house. I use this pump to pump water from the pond. I have a water hose here that runs all the way down the fence. Then I can take that pump and throw it in the pond, and then we can siphon water out. And I'll show you a little later about the 55-gallon drums of barrels that I have all over the place. So we'll pump the water into that. So we're using pond water to water our plants if we need to water. Here's another cherry tomato plant. Of course, you can see I got to get out here. This I'll probably cut off because it's in the pathway, it's in the way. And we'll let the rest grow up the fence. Now, this is my celery. And you know, when you plant celery, you have to blanch it. The sun can't get onto the main stalk itself. So you take these boxes and you put it down in, and it protects it from the sun. Already harvest my peas. So this is my second set of peas that I'm growing, and I'll get a better harvest in the fall because peas don't like the cold. In the spring, I usually plant my seeds April 1st, and I have a video on this, my peas, and then I just let it come up as the weather, because they can take cold, and then I harvest them, and then I plant again, and then these will be ready to harvest here in the fall. Another reason why I plant fall peas is I use them for seeds. I let them go to seed for next year. That way I have seeds to plant. There are 2 rows here, all the way down here. These are my potatoes, and you can see they're getting ready to be harvested here. These here, I've already took the soil aside. This is where I had my broccoli and cauliflower, and I already pulled them out, and I got the dirt prepared for the next set of seedlings that I got coming in. So I have these sticks here, so that way I tie them to them and they don't fall over, and if I have to, I can tie it to the fence. These are my green beans. Now I got these beans from the company My Gardener, and I'm going to try them because the last year the beans I've used for years, they've been stringy, and I don't know why. And I'm having hard times to germinate them, so I thought I'd try My Gardener, their stringless green beans here. So I have 2 rows of green beans. We're going to be having green beans here. Look at this. Ah, looky. We could probably eat these now. I'm going to taste one right now. Oh my gosh, they're so crispy and tender. Okay, if you take a close look, look how beautiful these leaves are. They're almost bug-free. Again, I use my mixture of neem oil and tea tree oil with a little bit of soap, and I spray once a week, and I'll leave that in the description, my formula that I use for that. I have a reason for these sheets. This is where that strip you seen the steaks, that's where I had my broccoli. So I have a couple cauliflower left, and these all down here, these are my Brussels sprouts, okay? And again, you know, we still fight the bugs, but I use the neem oil and my tea tree oil formula. The reason for the sheets here, we all know that cauliflower and broccoli and all that, they do not like the heat, especially the direct sunlight. So the sheet, what happens in the morning comes in, the sun hits the front of these, and then in the midday when the sun's hot, I put these sheets, you don't have to use sheets, you can use whatever you want. So I put these sheets as a little bit of a cover protective. That way the sun's not hitting directly on them. It is a little bit here, and then in the evening comes, the sun comes in through the other way. And so I have such beautiful broccoli and cauliflower by doing it this way. I've been doing this, guys, for probably about 5 years. My kale, it's ready to pick, and I will pick this tomorrow. And again, look how nice it is. It's almost bug-free. So, and of course I got some of my lima beans. I got to get trained to go over the fence there. And the kale I will take and freeze, because I love to put kale also in my like soups, and I like to put it in scrambled eggs. All right, this strip here, they're just now coming up through. This is spinach. So I plant spinach throughout the summer. These 4 plants here are zucchini. And I will have like 3 plantings of zucchinis at different times. These are sugar snap peas that I had earlier. As you can see, they're full. I will let these go and dry on the vines, and that way I will have seeds for next year to plant. Around the property, you'll see these 55-gallon drums of water. This is where I pump the water out from the pond, and I put them in here, and I'll have them all throughout wherever my parts of my property here. That way I can water these plants without having to go back and forth all the time. This is my starts for my, I was telling you, I'm going to replant the second batch. So I got all my cabbage here, my Brussels sprouts, and my broccoli. So these will get planted here in a couple days. We got Zach here, he's going to join us. I have my grapes here. I have the white grapes on here, and then I also have the purple grapes to make grape juice. Now these here won't be ready for probably till next year. And over here I have more grapes. And same thing, Concord grapes and then the white grapes. I just have a few, it's just the raspberry bush the blueberry bush, and then these strawberries come up, I don't know where. The pond's a little on the low side right now. It's about 2 feet low, but this pond is 10 feet deep. And we do have a ledge that goes out 3 feet from the edge, from the ground and out, so that way if somebody would fall in, they have a place to crawl out. Now we're working where the pump is there. We're working to do a landscaping there, but that is a waterfall that will go down into the water. So that's a work in progress right now. This is where I was talking about the pond, where we're redoing the pumping area in here. So we planted this, the maple tree we planted 5 years ago, so that way it provides shade underneath, around the pond area for all the ducks and geese and chickens. Maple tree. This weeping willow tree I planted 3 years ago. It was just the stick. So this spring we trimmed it all up, and it provides great shelter for all the chickens and ducks and geese. This area here, we give this to my dad. We made it. It's a burn area, so he burns everything back here. All right, this sunflower, this windmill. I have a video on how we made this windmill. My brother built it, and I tried to paint it to look like a sunflower. This here is Big Daddy and his mate. We have him separated from the other geese because he's older, and when they get a certain age, the others will want to take over, and so they, they'll hurt them, and so we had to separate them. I'd take you inside, but this Big Daddy here, he's kind of a mean goose. So this is their shelter that they have. I have a fan in there if it gets good and hot, and we have a pool for them to get in. And then we opened up this area down here and gave them a walkway so they have some grass to eat and to sit around in. On the homestead here, this was my brother's trailer, and we bought it off of him. That's what he drove his bikes in. So we use it for storage. Okay, we keep our lawn equipment in here and our lawn mowers and stuff. So, and I got some treated lumber in here, so we keep that here. Now the other trailer here, I got lucky. It wasn't lucky for my son, but he blew a tire and he wrecked it. So we took it, and we're using this for storage also. These make good storage containers. Now, in here, we keep all of our wood in here that we use, and I keep the chicken feed in here. And Walmart had a sale on these bags. They were clearance, and so I couldn't help, even though I make my own potting soil, I couldn't make it for this cheap. So we bought all this potting soil for next year. Keep things kind of neat on the homestead here. Again, we have another trailer here that I think got wrecked, and so we took it, and this is what we keep all of our scrap in, so that way it stays nice and tidy. We have lots of wheelbarrows here, all different sizes. You can always use wheelbarrows. And then I have this trailer here that I use to collect stuff. That a lot of times, I got buckets of water here, like a bunch of buckets here, and I'll fill them up with water. And if whatever, I need compost, put them in the wagon, and this is hauled around with the lawn. This is where we kind of keep our small little, I don't know what you want to call them, utility stuff. We got a grass picker upper here. My dad makes these little containers on wheels with handles for me. They're all different sizes here. And boy, do they come handy on the homestead here. All right, this is my corn. And to keep the rabbits out, we put this up here. We just put some boards down and put this chicken wire up. And the other problem we had when we did the corn was the birds would come along. When the corn would get this high, they'd go down and just bite it in half. So I have a video where I showed where we put netting over top of this till the corn got big enough. And the corn, now that they're starting to tassel, I will take my neem oil and my tea tree oil mixture, and I'll spray a mist over top of all this, and it keeps them earwigs and stuff out of it. And if you notice the pathway here on the inside, it's just enough to get a push mower through around. Here I do have some compost, sweet pea compost, This is my whole compost pile. What I'll do, I'll come around and get a little bit of the compost there. Then I got a mixture of chicken manure and straw, get it. Here I have grass clippings around here. And then underneath this pile, I do have just plain old garden dirt if I need it. This pot, I do have a zucchini planted in it, a seedling. And here I put my cucumbers. They're straight 8 again. They'll come up the panel. And then in the meantime, on this pot, I do have onions around. I have too many cucumbers here, so I will take some of these out. I don't need that many. Again, I put onions on the outside of it to grow. The green beans here, again, more cucumbers. Now this time I planted green beans on the outer edge of these. And I was telling you about the 55-gallon drums, so that way I got water all right here to do stuff. In this swimming pool here, I have spinach that I planted. Over here, I have some lettuce, loose lettuce. I'm just doing experimenting right here. I love this little enclosed little orchard among these trees here. We will, like me and my granddaughter came, we sat out here and we shelled peas out here. It's nice. This year we did trimmed all these trees up, and now we're getting these apples, and I see my dad come and put supports up for the branches over here. So I bought one of these little, it's I think a 4x7, and this is my camper. We converted it into a little camper to go camping with, and it makes nice storage back here. We have the ditch here, so we use skids to kind of make a little bridge here. And of course I have my little pots of flowers on the outside. And if you notice the water hose, it goes all the way down through there. I have water hoses everywhere, so that way if I need a water hose, I'm ready to hook up and go. Our house. This is where we raise all of our broilers, and which we did have them butchered a couple days ago. We have the netting over top. That way it keeps predators out. And we have this little shelter here for Mr. Duck here. He got injured, and when a duck's injured, the others kind of like want to pick on him all the time. So we got him away from the others. This is my feeding area for the ducks and the chickens. So we use this for shelter to keep it dry. All right, I have all my fruit trees inside here. I have 2 pear trees. I have them over on this side. And the reason why I have them in with the ducks and chickens and stuff, so any of the fruit that's going bad or whatever that drops to the ground, they'll eat it and they'll keep it all cleaned up for me and then come over. And here's another thing. These are cherry tomatoes. I got one plant here and I got one plant here. And if you notice, they're inside the chicken coop. So when the tomatoes get ripe, they'll run all the way down the fence line here. Then the chickens and ducks and geese can help themselves to the tomatoes. My brother thought I should have a wishing well. So him and his wife bought me this. And this is the wood chips in one of my videos that I told you guys about, how I throw it on thick and the geese come out of the pond, all the droppings go down here, and when it rains it washes it down through, and then the earthworms love it, and so this is where they mostly feed. And then on the pond here, and again like I said, that's a work in progress, we put big stones along the side of the wall. That keeps the geese from eating the walls out, the sides out, and making the pond bigger. This rock here, this was a big surprise. When they were digging the pond out, they found this rock down here, and they were going to take it away for me, and I'm like, I don't think so. And it's been a nice, I love this rock. This side of the shelter house here is for the geese. So in the wintertime, and they very rare go in here. It could be below 0 degrees and they're still outside, but they do have shelter. The black chicken over there that's digging in the mulch, that's what I was talking about, all the mulch that you put down, and it brings up earthworms and stuff, and so this is where they get most of their food. Now I did have some carrots and stuff like that, so I did bring out the scraps here, and that's what they're all eating now. For an easy way with the gate here, my dad does everything for me like this. So this way we can pick it up, and then we can bring our lawnmowers and equipment in this way. Now this side of the shelter here, because that side's for the geese, and this side here is where the ducks will go in and lay their eggs, and the chickens go in. And actually, when winter comes, they're all in here. Now we are going to rebuild this thing this winter, or this fall. Then on this side here, we put up like wire here, so that way the air can flow through. Then in the winter time, we will take this and cover it off with plastic. Here's another place for them to stay cool. I let this, I don't even know what this thing is here. I have no idea. It's not a tree. I think it's just a weed, a big weed that we let grow up, and the chickens love it every year. I'll show you all my fruit trees. Now this one's struggling. It's a peach tree, but I think it's starting to have new growth, so I think it's going to hang in there. But in this part of the yard here is where I have all my fruit trees. So that way, if again any of the fruits fall on the ground, the chickens and the geese get it and keep it cleaned up, and it's good for them. Here is a plum tree. So I have 2 peach trees, 2 plum trees, 2 pear trees, 2 apple trees, and 2 cherry trees. My other peach tree, and I planted it 3 years. Fruit trees are new to me, so it's something that I'm learning. And I did have this trimmed quite a bit down earlier this spring, and I can't believe how tall these trees are getting. Here's my scarecrow. This one chases off all of the hawks and stuff. I have this here, and then I got tin pans that in the trees and stuff. And then I also have a lot of black chickens because they think they're crows, because hawks are afraid of crows. Okay, this is Mr. Duck here. He's in a pen by himself. He had gotten in a fight with another drake, and of course he lost the battle. So he's been in here for, this would be his 3rd summer. And when I planted this weeping willow tree, I made sure that the weeping willow was up against the fence, so that way the ducks and stuff get shade on that side, and then Mr. Duck here, he can get shade on this side too. And if you know, I took this little dollhouse here and made a little home for him, and I have this wire here. In the winter time, I will put up a tarp, and that way it'll keep it covered and keep the snow off of them. So the reason for the black culvert here, just in case we have any hawks, this gives the chickens a place to go and hide. And I have seen them run in before when we did have a problem with the hawks. So this gives them a quick place to hide from the hawks, because the hawks won't go in there. They won't go in a confined area. I have a white gold sweet cherry here. This is the 2nd year that we planted it here. This is the other plum tree. This is my other cherry tree. So, and if you notice, I have cages around here. That's to keep the ducks from nibbling on the bark. This isn't the prettiest little shelter, but I've had this here for 5 years. And in the winter time, the ducks go in here because the weather comes this way. So that shields it from the wind and stuff. So when it's cold, you'll see most of the ducks down here. These tin cans has helped also with hawks. I got them all around the place. If you notice, we'll show you here, all around my fence here, I've got a shoe here, got a shoe here, got a shoe here. Got one here, and actually there's a bird nest in this one. Down, we got these shoes all around the fence, and every time somebody wants to throw a pair of shoes out, we take them and we throw these out and we get new ones. It has human scent on them, and it really has helped taking care of the predators. I do have this caged off in here also. So sometimes in the winter time when it's really cold, I want to keep them confined, then they do have some shelter here. Then this is their ramp to go up into the chicken coop for the night. Okay, if you notice, I have here in this whole area here where these chickens are, I have wood chips brought in, really thick, and again, they'll poop in it. It rains, it goes down the ground, and then all the bugs and everything like that and worms are down there, especially the worms, and you'll see them digging, and this is what they eat. Here's my buddy. I bought this little owl and I sprayed him down with water repellent. And it seems to work and also help with the hawks. I know this is strange. You see a box here in the yard. Hey, this is a little sandbox, and the purpose for the sandbox is because I do have 2 outdoor cats, and cats love sandbox, so they'll use this for a litter box instead of my garden. I sit here in the evenings and I think about my mom. My mom passed away 5 years ago. She was a gardener, and I'm just so thankful for her to show me about gardening. This is a swing here my dad built. He sits out here. He made these little posts here and here so we can have our coffees and sit and think about my mom. Alright guys, thanks for watching.